Over the past few weeks, we have been bringing you Ugandan Christian Kingdom business people who are doing business in this nation to show you that it is possible. And the theme that we've been having around this time is rebuilding business. Today, I will be bringing you the story and interview of a person I call an outlier, someone whose story is different. It's crazy. It's encouraging. He's young. He is passionate about business. When he starts talking about money and wealth creation, you'll see what's going to happen. So get ready to be blessed. Sit back, relax, and help me right now as we, in a moment right now, welcome with me a man who is going to inspire you. His name is Alan Tayewa. Alan, welcome, welcome, welcome. Don't be deceived by that. Thank you, thank you. It's going to get hotter as we go along. Alan, thank you so much for joining us for Business Garage. Alan is the CEO and founding, I don't know partner, but founder of Goldmine Finance. And you're going to tell us a little bit about yourself. Alan, tell us about yourself. You've seen a little bit of Goldmine. And just briefly, Alan Tayewa, who are you? Goldmine Finance. Launch us.
Hi guys, my name is Alan Tayewa. I'm the managing director of Goldmine Finance, husband of one wife and many children, but also he's almost 1 year. I have one son who is almost 1 year and many more coming, right? I don't know what more I should tell you guys. Maybe you can ask me something else.
Exactly. I'm going to ask you lots of questions today. Remember, you will be asking questions on our platforms. We would like to hear from you. Ask questions as we go along, and we will answer them as we go along in the interview. And by the way, his beautiful wife, Lisa, is in the house. So it's quite good. So Alan, let's start from the beginning. I've had the privilege of hearing your story, and I think I want us to go to the beginning. Your business journey, where did it begin? How did you get into business? Tell us a little bit about that. Did you have a rich dad who handed over his gold mine? Is it second generation? Basically, what's your story? Why business? Did you always know you wanted to be in business? So I'm asking many questions to ask you really one, so that you know, ask just how did that journey begin?
Okay. Just before I start my story, Njaga kutumira the gold miners, Duncan, Jessica, Christine, Florence, Stephen, Mwenamba Tumide Wanai. I hope you're watching this. So my story, how did my story begin? I think my story began just listening to my elder siblings talking and telling me many things, but among them, one of my sisters was telling me how she had worked for 10 years and she had nothing to show for it. So that's how my story began. So the more I listened to this thing, almost every day I would keep hearing them talking and saying that, can you believe it? I wish I would leave my job. I said, but what do you mean? You know, how can you wish to leave your job where you've been for all these years? And all I'm thinking is, these people should have something, right? So as I was going through school, in my university, as I'm wondering what am I going to do with my life, one of the things that I figured I should not be doing is working, because I said if she has been working for 10 years and she has nothing to show for it, then I don't think that's the road I want to take. You see, I didn't know anything about work, so then I go and do internship in an organization, and there was this boss who was like a semi-god. So, and then it was sort of confirming everything I was thinking about. So I said, how can a person, you know, because this guy would enter the office and people would stop breathing, literally. Like people would fear to type. You know, there was so much silence, and you're like, why is this so? You know, someone cannot pay you, even if they are paying you 10 million to be God over you, you know. So I said, no, I don't think this is the path that I'm meant to take. So that's how my journey in business started. So towards the end of my university, I honestly didn't know what I was going to do with my life. So of course, they are always asking questions. What do you want to do? What are you going to do after university? I don't know, but I want to do business. What business? I don't know. So of course, that's how I launched out in after university. And I'd been doing a bit of lending at school, at university, and my cash grew. By the time I finished university, I had about 5 million shillings.
Alan, I'm going to stop you right there because I feel like you're eating into our story. So tell us the story. The good thing is that I have heard this story a little bit. Tell us the part about how you started. How did actually your lending business begin? Because when you say you had some cash, you know, some people might be thinking you had, I don't know, maybe you had a trust handed over to you. You know, how did you start lending? What amounts were you lending to campuses? Because I really, when I say that your story is a story of an outlier, I want someone out there who's listening to you to see themselves in the story. So what amounts were you lending? Where were you getting money from?
So I remember trying to understand this, because you see, because of what my sister had been telling me and my brother at home, I wondered, how do people actually get wealthy? So everything I tried to read on or touch on was talking about saving. You listen to a person, I would listen to all these people, the Vitatures, the Sudhirs, and they tell you one thing. So there was one time I was listening to Sudhir, and he said that the one thing that his father taught him was that if you make 1,000, eat 100 shillings and invest 900 shillings. He said that was his biggest principle. And for me, it was a thing of saying, that's saving and investing. So I said, I have to learn this saving thing. So every time I started saving, after about 2 months at the university, you go and eat the money. You go and party and club and drink it really, basically. So I said, I have to find a way of doing this thing. If I can't master it, I'm not going to become, because everyone is telling me that you must save, you must manage your money.
Yeah.
So I set out to save. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I told him, you know what, I have a problem. I can't keep money with myself. I want to start keeping it with, with people so that I can get it at the end of the semester. Because I was failing to keep it myself. So I didn't know for him what he had had. So when I was telling him that I wanted to keep it with people, he thought I was lending it. So the following day, literally the following day, he calls me and he says, man, have you started that lending thing of yours? I said, no, what lending thing? He says, I need to borrow some money. I want to borrow 200,000. I'll put for you 40,000 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, so I said, what? I had just gotten my pocket money and it was exactly 200,000.
Yeah.
So I get that 200,000, give it to him, and of course I start eating my Rolex. After that, honestly speaking, I don't even know where the rest of the money came from, but somehow I had money. You know, near the university, you have the grace to meet a certain uncle or big brother or cousin, and they will always give you 10, 20,000, right? So I gave him the 200,000. After 2 weeks, he brought back 40,000 and said, I want to take it for another 2 weeks.
Wow.
And give you 40,000. And he brought another person who wanted 50,000. And I gave him 50,000 for about 3 days, a weekend. That's how the business of lending, that's how I was introduced to the business of lending. So, towards and I was honestly living like a don at the university.
It's true.
I really was living large, and I was living, then towards the end of university, my capital had grown to about 5 million shillings.
Wow.
And so after university, of course, I didn't know lending outside university.
Yeah.
You see, at the university, the person is right next door to your hostel, and that's your shoe of this guy not running away. Now, when you finish university, I didn't know that I was going to continue with that business. So I finished university on 30th May. The whole of June, I ate back that 5 million to zero.
I really like this part of the story so much.
So in that whole month, we were basically partying and eating money.
Chop my money. Hey,
after that month, I start now asking myself,
when it got finished,
what am I going to do with my life? You see. But the good thing, this is by the way, another good thing, there's a way God sets you up in all environments. So as I'm in that, those night outs, I meet a certain guy. Now, when you're young after university, to be honest, you cannot, there are very few people who will say, I have no job, I have nothing I'm doing, among your peers. You will have to brag a bit. What are you doing with your life? Oh, I'm doing business.
That's guys, man. Let me tell you, girls, we don't do that. It's a man thing.
So
you're doing business.
So in one of those meetings, I meet this guy, and the guy asks me, what are you doing? I'm doing business. What business? I'm lending money. To be honest, I had not known anything about lending money outside university. So this guy, I think, was working for a company, and he said, can I bring you clients and give me commission? I said, yes. What's your rate? How much can you give? Any amount. Any amount. I was on my last amount of 5 million. I think I was able to, I don't know, like 200,000 or something. We're eating it there. I'm telling him any amount. Anyway, this was like Saturday. Sunday, he calls me. I have someone who wants 5 million.
Which you just ate.
So, I couldn't tell him no. I knew some lenders. I immediately ran to them. And I asked them, what are your requirements? I want to bring you clients. So, of course, I negotiate a deal this side and negotiate on the other side. They give me requirements. I show them to the other person. I say, these are my requirements. Guys.
So good.
So anyway, long and short, that's how I started the business of lending. Outside, I was not lending my money. I was lending other people. I was just basically brokering. Right?
You were a broker.
I was brokering. But I made sure that I did everything because it was like my internship then. Because I had to learn the process, right? So I used that period to learn the process. And within a space of a certain period, now I go to my family to source for capital. And of course, everyone I was pitching to basically kept telling me one thing. At the time, that's when Worship Harvest was telling people to lend as much as they are willing to lose. So I became a victim of that. People were only lending me as much as they were willing to lose. And
I want now to move, because you've taken us through the beginnings, right?
Yes.
You've told us up to the point of, and I think there are key lessons right there, is that one, you had stories of your siblings, and you knew what you did not want, okay? Because, but that drove you to something. But then, I've also had networking in there. You had friends in there who seemed to be, even while you're there finishing your money, there's a guy, but on top of the networking, your capacity to, I don't know what the word is, but that dreaming, but possibility thinking. Because that story could have ended differently. If the person came to you and you knew you had said you are a lender and you can give him any money and you realize I don't have it, and it would have ended right there. But you thought to yourself, I know people who lend, and you went to them and then figured it out. That possibility thinking, which many young people right now, we've lost. You haven't have said, put myself in the young people. We've lost it. We've lost this possibility thinking, and you find that you go to someone and they tell you what cannot work, as opposed to it can work. And because your mind was, it can work, in hours you figured out how to solve this problem and you launched the business. So you sort of stumbled into this business. And people, I like your story because people keep saying, but these stories of people saying, I was selling tomatoes, then I saved, now I'm a billionaire. But these things are true. Like, if you really listen to most of the stories we've had, people did not start with a lot, apart from a dream and possibility thinking. But now, Alan, so you've started. You've gone to these money lenders, you've rebuilt, okay? Meanwhile, you've been in a habit of save it, grow it, eat it, grow it, eat it, grow it, eat it. So then what happens at this point is you're talking about you wanted to source capital because you saw possibility. Tell us a little bit about the money you were looking for and what you got, and then that process of growing from that point. So
I, somewhere along the way, in the middle of that meandering, I landed on a book which a friend of mine, Noah Balesamv, gave me. It was called, it's called Money Won't Make You Rich by Sunday Adelaja.
Yeah.
That book, once I read it, I said, and the beginning of that page, like the cover, it says that using the principles, he turned 200 millionaires, people into millionaires in his church.
In dollars.
In dollars, please. I said, if the guy, you know, remember I've been hearing people tell me they've worked for 10 years, they have nothing. So I learned on this
really
thing and
you.
read that page, and I said, even if it takes me 20 years,
yes,
the other people have been working for 10.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I set out to work with those principles. And so because of the money I was brokering,
yeah,
I realized how much I would do if I was using part of my money.
Yes.
So I go and pitch the first, normally when you're sourcing for capital, the first people you want to go to are your relatives.
Yeah.
So I had written down my list, and I was sure that I can be able to source for 20 million. So at the time, we were lending at 20%.
Yeah.
So I said, if I can get 20 million, 20%, that's 4 million a month. I said, how many graduates make 4 million a month?
Come on.
So anyway, I set out and started pitching. My friend, all my relatives I would go to, people who I was sure had money.
Yeah.
You pitch to them and say, I will, not that I was pitching for money for free, by the way. I was willing to give interest. So, and I was giving them ridiculous rates, because I think I was giving 10%. That was the rate I was offering. So, because me in my head, I said, if I give 10%, I make 10%. Yeah. Everyone I pitched to said, sorry, we don't have money, things are tough. So I kept going from uncle, auntie. Anyway, I reached my sister.
Yeah,
right?
The one of 10 years.
The one of 10 years.
To me, you know yourself.
My sister, I tell her, if you can give me 20 million. People, I was sure these guys had the money.
Yeah.
I said, if you can give me 20 million, this is what I'll give you. She said, and you know, there's this line that they like to use. Let me talk to my husband.
Hello.
If anyone gives you that line, you know that they are going to say no to you, or say, or find a way of getting back to you. They are literally buying time to find a more. Anyway, so she goes talk to the husband, and they come back and tell me, Alan, we don't have that money, but we can only afford to give you 2 million.
Give me 5.
So I got 2 million shillings from my sister, but this was the good thing. She said, you'll not pay us interest, but you'll pay us at the end of the year. So automatically, I knew what this meant.
Yeah.
Because I knew that even if it were me, because of the disappointments I had had, I was like, man, this is what I have. This is what I must work with.
Yeah.
So I quickly sat back and said, okay, now I have 2 million. I'll make 400,000. I can pay myself a salary of 200,000, which I was earning at the university, and save the 200,000.
Yeah.
Now, the book that I had read again was talking about thinking big, expanding your capacity to think, right? So I had it, naturally speaking, using an Excel, I would only make 2.4
by the end of the year
in savings, right?
Yes.
So my big thinking at the time, in net worth, right? I'm talking about net worth.
Yes.
My big thinking was, if I can have 10 million shillings by the end of the year, surely, you know, if anyone asked me that where is the 10 going to come from, or the extra 7.6, I would not be, I don't know. Me, I've just said I'm thinking big.
Yes.
Right? And I put a thing there for God, and I went to work, right? So I wasn't only doing lending, by the way. I was doing everything.
It's true.
Right?
Yes.
So at home, they knew me as the guy who can do anything and everything.
Yeah.
If you want to sell charcoal, if you want to sell anything anyway.
Even wash clothes.
If you want to sell a phone, if you want to get a person. At one point, I went to my sister and told her, because I knew that they were paying their maids a lot of money. Let me tell you a story. So I was like, you guys are paying your maid 200,000. So I'd run a calculation. I said, if I can wash for these 3 different families, I'll make 600,000. I went to them and made a pitch. I said, guys, can I be washing for you? My sister laughed and said, Alan, we can never allow you to. I was so disappointed. I said, now these guys are making me lose money here.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, so I said that to show you how much I was willing to do anything and everything. Why? I had a goal of 10 million, and I had to look for ways of getting to that 10 million shillings. So I this was around July, by the mid-July, when I got this 2 million, and did all these things, brokering cars. Remember, I was a broker now. Eh?
Yeah.
So broker, I'm trying to turn myself into a businessman. By December that year, I sit back and say, let me try and see what my net worth is. Right? How far off I am from the 10 million. And guess how much I had? Remember, I was paying myself,
200,000.
Let me tell you among the principles that I learned in the book.
Yes.
I was paying myself 200,000. So what that meant, I was still living in my brother's house. That meant that I did not go to town when I had nothing to do there. I only went to town when I had business. Because when you're on 200,000,
transport,
you're not even living on 10,000 a day.
It's true.
Because that would make you 300,000. So you're living on less. So if you go to town when you have nothing, no way of earning money, you're going to end up spending everything that you have. So the other thing among those things that I learned was carry enough money for the day. Don't carry, if you're on 200,000 salary, don't carry 50,000 when you're walking around. Do you understand?
No,
because you'll end up spending it.
It's true.
Carry 10 or less. Do you understand? So those are some of the things that managed to keep me in line to stay within the 200,000. So anyway, at the end by December that year, I went back to calculate the net worth, and then it had hit 20 million shillings.
No.
That was the magic. So the magic was, I usually tell people, they always ask how is that possible? Yeah. So I usually tell people that we normally, if you have never calculated your expenses, and you sit back to calculate them, you realize you earn more, you spend more than you earn. You understand? So where you spend 200,000, you normally earn maybe 300. You spend maybe, where you earn 200,000, you probably spend 300 or 400,000.
How?
The question is how?
How?
Now, if you can put in place principles, right, to manage your spending, so that whatever the other how that you can't explain is there.
It's there.
It always comes, right? So that's how I was, when I hit 20 million and I realized this, I have now a net worth of 20 million.
You're a young man fresh out of campus. Fresh
out of university. I don't know how many people, if you got 20 million shillings and you're just from university, I don't know what you would do with it. But I'll tell you among the temptations that I was facing at the time. The temptation I was facing was to buy a car. Now, I thank God again, using Harvest Business Forum, Noah Balesamv, I think, then brought Amos Wekesa. I remember it was at Protea. I went and listened to this guy speak. I listened to his whole story. And I said, And in his story, one of the things that captivated me, around the time I was facing this temptation, he said that he resolved to buy a personal car when he could afford 20 of those cars. I said, what? I said, what do you mean? So I tried to ask him, and he said, you see, a car is an expense. When you buy a car, you're going to be spending on fuel, servicing, you maybe knock someone. And secondly, I wanted to be able to say that if I get an accident with that car, I can walk to the bond and buy another one. I can afford it. I don't have to, downgrade my status.
Hey.
I said, I don't need to hear it anymore. So that was it for my temptation of buying a car. I cut out the temptation and stuck to the border, and then set another big goal for the next year. Because now I said, if I had set this for this year,
10 and you hit 20.
And I hit 20 in about 5 months. I said, this one now I'm going to have to double it. So of course the first thing I did was increase my salary to 1 million shillings.
From 200K.
From 200,000. I mean, who wouldn't? You have grown 2 million to 20 in 5 months. You have to reward yourself. But also because I was planning to move out of home. And so I wanted to be independent a bit and start paying my own rent. So I increased my salary to 1 million shillings. And then with 3 million, again, naturally speaking, 20 would make 4 a month. 4 I would make, from 4 million, I was paying myself 1 million. And so 3 million, generally, is what I was putting aside. So 3 by 12 is about 36. 36 plus 20 is 56. You see what the normal
expectation
is 56 million. So I said no. I'd been talking to a friend of mine, and we were just dreaming, really. And he said, can you imagine having a business that can make you $100 a day? So we said, man, you guys, $100 a day at university, after university was a lot of money.
A lot.
So
it's still a lot.
We set a goal, right?
Yeah.
And said, how much would that be? We said this would be about $50,000 to be able to make us $3,000 a month. By the way, we were just estimating with many different things. It's not like as if which business is that someone may want to ask me which business would it. No, for us to say, if we have this, we can be able to make this much. So we said that's our goal. At the time, $50,000 was 150 million.
Yes.
So that year now we set out 150 million. And again...
And just to be clear, this was each of you, that was your goal, each, not that together 150.
No. Each of us. So, you know, I don't know if that friend of mine even remembers that goal then. We really rarely talk about it. But somehow his son helped me to dream bigger than... Because now, you know, I had almost achieved all my dreams.
Imagine.
I had aimed for 10, I hit 20.
Yeah.
So I came back to dream again. And that year, of course, I hit the 150 million.
Then, of course.
Then now I set out for another bigger dream. So among the many things I keep telling people is that I set out, me, naturally speaking, when I try to see the possibilities of being, because I said the guys of Ukraine, if they become millionaires in 2 years, I said, man, this is Uganda. They can, let me picture a billion.
Shillings,
right? I said, let me picture a billion. So I tried to work it out. I said it would take me 15 years to hit a billion net worth. It took, within that period, it took us about 3.5 years.
To hit the billion.
To hit the billion. Yeah. So.
I told you from the beginning that we have an outlier. But Alan, you've said lots of things. One of the things that I've caught, and Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker says, I think the third wealth file, he says that poor people desire to be rich. Rich people are committed to being rich. And what I hear from your story is a commitment to the journey of wealth creation. You've talked about going to spaces where you are learning and growing, setting big goals, but also working towards achieving them. You were willing to wash clothes of your siblings, for goodness sake, to make money. How many graduates they would see that as a thing worth doing because it was work? You did not seem to despise any work. And you know, lots of saving, discipline is what I'm hearing in your story. Recently, you told me about the savings culture in Uganda. I'm going to go shortly to and start reading some of the questions. But you talked about the savings culture that we are, apparently it's about 3% for the whole nation of Uganda. Wow. And so just to speak a little bit into discipline, staying power, having a big goal. You talked about where you started. You started from about, let's talk a bit on numbers maybe right now before we get into discipline. How many people is Goldmine Finance employing right now? And also in terms of where you started and where you are, revenue-wise.
Yeah, so we are now employing about 15 people, I think. We are recruiting, by the way, we are recruiting Kano Karango, Wawanga Jori, and you're looking for a job, please contact us at Goldmine.
But did you start with 15?
No. So this is the thing. Again, I'll tell you about discipline. We started, I remember we started, I gave my first contract in 2012, remember? So in 2012, along the way now, along the journey towards the 150 million, is when I can say I was getting very busy because I would not sit in the office. You see, money was not in the office. Business was not in the office. Oh, business was outside. Out there. So me, that's why I enjoyed going. But office, that would mean that now that I had office space, that means the office would be closed. Yes. So I had to get admin, accountant, all this is one guy. One guy, right? I'm not talking about all this, right? I'm getting one guy who's doing all these things. Yeah. So that was the first time I got my first
employee
staff. Now, I want you to see the power of saving and investing.
Yes.
Do you understand? Imagine if I had bought that car. Just imagine, if I had gotten the 20 million and bought that car, there was someone out there praying for a job. Do you understand? So because I chose not to buy that car, I was offering a miracle to someone out there. That's the power of discipline. That's what I usually talk about. That's what, imagine, because you are, now, I usually talk about saving and the power of saving.
Yes.
Now, let me use an example. Yesterday, I think yesterday but one, Stanbic released its first half-year profits.
Yes.
Now, if you can just read a bit in those numbers, and I'm basically talking about saving and investing. You understand? I usually tell people that investing or doing business is, I think, the biggest charity in life. The biggest charity is not just it's not just giving out money to one individual. The biggest charity is actually doing business. Because when you do business, in your income statement, right, where you appear, where you have purchase, cost of goods or whatever, all these expenses, those are someone's earnings.
It's true.
You understand?
Yeah.
When I choose to pay rent, there's a landlord praying for a tenant.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
When I choose to purchase those goods I'm going to sell, there's someone out there praying for a client. When I choose to employ people, there's someone out there praying for a job. When I choose to do all these things, those are all, that's all sort of giving. Me, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're going to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Do you know that government cannot do anything without you doing what you're supposed to do? Without you doing business and paying taxes? Because now you imagine Stanbic Bank declared profits half year, which are about 127 billion for 6 months, right? That's 6 months profit. Do you know what that means in taxes? It means that in 6 months, they have paid taxes of more than 30 billion.
Come on.
Now, you imagine us, Uganda, without Stanbic Bank.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Do you know the power of taxes and what taxes are able to do? Do you know the number of people that bank is employing? Now, let me tell you one thing about saving. In Stanbic Bank, for example. I'm sorry, I'm just using that as an example,
No
right?
problem.
So we can use many other examples, but this is what, because it's the latest. If Stanbic is declaring profit of 127 billion, look at how much money they are borrowing, because they also borrow from outside Uganda.
Yes.
Do you understand? So look at that flow, that money that is going outside in interest payment.
Yes.
Do you understand? To be able to generate this. If you and me are going to save and put it there as a fixed deposit, that money is not going out.
It's staying.
It's staying here. Do you understand? It's staying here. It is not going out. But because we do not save, because we do not, leave alone the saving, look at the investment.
We don't invest. How can you invest when you've not saved?
Thank you very much. So if we have not saved even a single shilling of our money, that's by the way, this is how we end up. Because if you look at, for example, a book, they have a book of 6 trillion, they've only lent 4. The 2, we can be able to get it out, but we are not. And second, it is 6 because we are not saving. I don't know if we look at that effect, at the effect of all these things, how they all come to play. Just because you are not... Now, let me tell you, by the way, saving should be the beginning of everything. You understand?
Elementary.
So because you save, when you're doing business, you're able to leave money on an account just because you want... You're able to say, I will pay myself a salary and leave money on that account. You can live, you're normal, you're living a normal life. You're not feeling like you can, you're not being, your life doesn't change because you have money on the account. That's what saving does. It speaks to you that I am saving 100,000 every month, so it is going towards, it is going on that. I have that 100,000 every month. Even if I had 200, I earn 200,000. Do you understand it? Because I've made 1 million, I'm not going to change my lifestyle
to catch up.
To catch up. Or I'm not going. That's what saving is about.
That's what. But now, Alan, There's someone listening in. Let me read for you some of the questions coming through. First of all, this is a comment. Patricia Cahill says that this story reminds her about her first business where she bought a car and a house and went bankrupt in a year. Tukutumide Patricia. Barbara Chirunda says, Alan, can you kindly shed more light on the businesses you were engaged in to grow to 150 million and eventually $1 billion?
So like I've told you, I was doing everything. I was brokering cars. Right?
It's true.
I was dealing in charcoal. I was lending money. I was I was selling phones, laptops,
Anything.
TVs. Guys, the goal was not what I am doing.
Exactly.
Right? The goal was what I wanted to get to. For me, that was my goal. My goal was, what do I want? And along the way, I had to do all these things. I'll tell you, one day I went to my brother, I remember. I think, no, this was not after university. It was a 6 back. I went to him and told him, can you buy a taxi? Put it on the road, I will be a conductor, because I was sure that conductors somehow cheat money. Right? So I wanted to be a conductor, get the money while we have the driver there. So me, I just receive the money and, but of course, again, my brother refused.
Of course.
So what normally people usually ask that question of what business were you doing? The goal is, by the way, it's not so much around the business. It's so much about the goal
and the discipline.
And the discipline to get to that goal.
Because that's a thing that I've experienced in your story all these years. Is when you talk about buying a car, you bought a car how many years into your business?
4 years.
4 years.
At that time, I'd already hit $1 billion.
You had hit over $1 billion by that time. And what car did you buy, just to be clear? It was a Primo, which you still have.
Yes.
You've driven that Primo and you stayed in a small apartment all these years until you got married. Is when you moved to another space. So again, asking what's the name of the book. The name of the book that he mentioned in the beginning is Money Won't Make You Rich by Sunday Adelaja. But for me, your story, and I think what I'm hearing even right now is it's a very clear plan, focus, and DC. Let me read some quotes here on discipline. Discipline, 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 because it's not about desire. Even me, the first thing, you want magic. You're like, what's the magic bullet? You know, but discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. That is Jim Rohn. And then he says, there is no magic wand that can resolve our problems. The solution rests within our work and discipline. You know, discipline is wisdom, and wisdom is discipline. So for a man to conquer himself is the first and noblest of all victories. And I think, Alan, you conquered yourself. The desire to show off, the desire to, because your story begins with save it, save it, save it. And then something switched when you came into contact with something different.
Let me tell you one last story. So you see, discipline there is the law of compounding interest.
Come on, that one, yes.
You understand, eh? So compounding interest, that whatever we do, we start small and it compounds over time. Now, there's just one story one thing that I learned recently. When the president sent a video doing press-ups, press-ups, I was so disturbed. I said, this guy is double my age.
Yeah.
And he can do 30 press-ups at that age of his. So I said, no.
Yes.
I said, I have to sit down, I have to reorganize my life. Now, I had a trainer, and there was a time I could hardly do, I could not do 3 press-ups. So I was doing those ones of the president, of course, these open ones. Yeah. And he said, no, Alan, come and do this one. There's another way he showed me, which was extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So the ones of the president, I would do like 15, 20. When he told me to do these other ones, I would do not more than 3. So during lockdown is when I was challenged. I said, I'm going to do this, whatever it takes. You people, let me tell you about compounding interest. You see, I started when I could hardly do 3.
Yes.
Every day and night before, when I'm going to shower, I make sure I do press-ups. And I said, I'm going to increase every week by 5.
Lord.
I started by doing 3. Now I was doing 5, then I did 10, then I did 15, then I did 20. Then I did, the goal I was saying, if I can do 30, what the president is doing. You understand?
Yeah.
That was around April, May is when I started. Right now, the other day I was counting with my wife, I can do 70 press-ups in one go.
Yeah, la, la,
70
la,
morning,
la, la.
70 evening.
Yeah, and his wife is nodding her
My
head in
goal,
agreement.
now guess what my goal is? To do 200. Because I
Alan.
said if I was thinking 20,
Alan.
30, that was the goal.
Gosh.
And I'm now doing 70. You understand? So what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you compounding. You see, when I tell you that I was starting with 200,000,
Yes.
then, and now, you may not be able to imagine. You understand? What maybe my goal was for the year is now what is being made in a month.
Yes.
You understand? What I was making in a year is what I could make. That's the compounding. You understand? And before you know it, we will be at a stage where we are literally, when you save and invest, you're redeeming the time.
You are.
You're redeeming the time. You're literally in a business of buying time. You get it? That's what it is. So you imagine that what the press-ups that I was doing, which were taking me, which the goal I had for 1 year, because the goal was that in a year, if I can do 30 of them in a go. Midway the year, do you see the story?
Yes.
I am not yet even halfway the year, because I started in April, May. I'm already doing double what my goal was. Do you see a similarity between a goal of 10 million and hitting 20,
yes,
and now a goal of 30 and hitting 70 press-ups?
Yes.
So it's just having a certain goal and pushing towards that goal.
Wow. Discipline, focus, determination. That's the story that we have had today from Goldmine Finance. Alan Taebwa, thank you so much for joining us. And right now, I want to invite the Apostle Mose, who is joining us and sort of brings this thing together. Mose, you're most welcome.
Well,
are those press-ups you're starting now? Right here?
You're making life a little difficult, because when you went to the press-up part, I was like, can I have someone else come close? But I'm going to, Alan, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing those insights with us and for this amazing story. Of course, there is a part this we didn't reach. I'm going to reach it.
Which one?
I'm going to try and reach it soon. But before I go there, I'm going to first bring in a bit of an interesting part of this. So a lot of the people have heard B3's story because she's a preacher and shares her stories a lot. But some people may not yet have worked out that you are her brother. So for those who are lacking discernment, these two are brothers. Okay, no. She's Alan's sister. And yeah, although she looks younger than you, she's older.
Come on.
I'm just saying. Of course she looks younger.
It's true.
But
Younger in height or?
Well. Anyway, thanks so much. So when you were sharing this story, when she was interviewing you, I just started thinking about all the people that love you and care about you, your family, and what this picture here represents about the faithfulness of God. And for me, one of the key things I picked from your story is something I was actually reflecting on yesterday afternoon with a group of people about the fact that God sets us up for success.
Yeah.
You know, success is not something out there complicated. It's about responsiveness when God opens the door. It's that responsiveness. You find yourself in places you probably shouldn't have been by your own effort.
Yes.
Accessing knowledge that you probably would not have accessed by your own effort. Hearing things that probably you would not have heard if it was only up to you. And then you respond. So case in point is, you're telling someone you need to find someone to keep your money with so that they can give it to you at the end of the semester so you don't blow it. They mishear what you're saying. They call and say, hey, that lending thing, can you lend me some money? At that point, you have the choice to say, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
But right there, God is opening a door even without knowing. Hey, how much do you want? And then you respond. You are in a bar. Someone says, what do you do? I'm in business. What business? Money lending. Like, Can I bring you clients? Yes. I have people who need, you could have said, now is not a good time. I'm a bit low on cash flow, but you responded.
Yes.
It's about responding. People often look at us like worship harvest and they think, oh, this ministry seems to be going somewhere. They don't know, we don't know anything. Really,
true.
we don't.
It's
like,
true.
you have to be an insider to know that we know nothing. Our thing is responsiveness. You know, the thing about obedience to God is even when it's just a little suspicion, you move.
Respond.
Because that's responsiveness. You go into a harvest business forum meeting. How many other people were there? And they had Amos Wekesa said that thing, and they went ahead and bought cars that are 70% of their net worth.
Yes.
But you just you have to be able to afford 20 of them. What does that mean? It means that the cost of your car should be only 5% of your net worth.
Wow.
You responded. So it's in the responsiveness, because you know every business garage, a lot of wisdom comes, and sometimes people are trying to figure out what am I getting out of this, and usually people sometimes get the thing that won't help them, because I've seen from the questions people are thinking, what's Alan's magic? How can he lend it to me so I can do what he does? Look, yours might be a completely, now some people are going to try and get into money lending.
No.
Because they think,
that's the
you
magic.
mean I can get to $1 billion in 3 years through money lending? Quit my job, get into money lending.
That's not it.
Is that what God is telling you? Is that? And by the way, it's not about that God is speaking loudly. Like, is that where the door is opening? For some people, the door is opening in very different ways.
Yes.
It's about the responsiveness. So, I really think this is incredible. Responding and being disciplined. Responding, when the door opens, get in. And why do most people lose the opportunities when the door opens and they get in? They get in the door and they don't discipline themselves.
Yes.
But what I've heard from your story is every door you got into,
discipline.
you learned and knew where to be disciplined. And I think what I hear is the discipline that took you to a certain level will not take you to another level. The discipline you needed to make that 10 million in the first year, which became 20 million, is not the discipline you need right now. Is that the case?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. As you go higher, and people don't understand that, by the way. They look at, say, the president, and they think, I can do that. My friend, make no mistake about it. The discipline levels have to keep going up as you go higher. Now, you can tell us or you may not, but like you said you're employing 15 people. How many clients? About how many clients? About how much are you helping your clients with to bring the future closer?
About how many are we
clients?
Helping? Yes.
And about how much money is out there that you're in the economy? How much Goldmine cash is floating around in our economy?
Okay.
Or what relevant numbers can you give us to wrap our heads around what's going on right now?
Yes. So what I can say is that we serve about 1,000 clients, and we
please allow us to
recover,
to sync the numbers. Great. So about 1,000 clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
And our market share, we have about 5% of the market share.
In the lending industry?
Yes, in the Tier 4 lending industry.
Tier 4 lending industry,
yes.
5% of the market share. So in other words, you need to go do your research about what's the total market in Tier 4, and therefore so that you get to understand what are you seeing for the future in the next 5 years.
So in the next 5 years, we should be among the top 10 large taxpayers.
Top 10 large
in my sector.
Taxpayers in his sector in the next 5 years. You've had it for yourselves, folks. We gotta move on. And I had Dave Ramsey say this yesterday. I'm going to say it in the next service as well. The problem with your investments is that you do not have any. So it's time to get started. When the door opens, get in and get disciplined. Because the discipline in that room is what enables another door to open. You get in, you get disciplined. So thanks so much for joining us for Business Garage this morning. We are super excited about you and your business and the possibilities. In a few years, we are going to do amazing things. Alan, do you want to tell us a little bit about Club 1000?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So we have a vision and a dream. And this dream is put together in an investment club called Club 1000. The dream is to create 1,000 billionaires for the kingdom. Now, that's just to help your imagination, right? So we're just trying to set a certain standard for you. So far, to be a member of Club 1000, you can, the minimum investment is 1 million shillings a month.
A month. Yeah.
Meaning 12 million
a year.
A year, right? So if you're out there and you think that you are part of these people who think big, I usually tell people that thinking big is thinking God, right? Thinking small is thinking you. So how many of you want to think God-like? Please, this is a space that will be able to grow you to hit 1 billion with the same goals and principles and the environment that we are talking about here. Yeah, so you're welcome. If in case you're interested in joining Club 1000, please come to Goldmine and we'll be able to enroll you. Thank you.
Wow. Well, we threw in a little bit of chocolate for you there at the end. So if you eat chocolate, eat it. If you don't, I'm sorry. But thanks so much for joining us. Join us again next Sunday, 7:30 a.m. for Business Garage, because we know we are going to change this country, this continent, one business at a time, one business leader at a time, one industry at a time, and you are the person. So may God bless you so much. Thanks so much for joining us. Yes.
I want to send my shout-ups again.
Shout-ups.
To Rukundo. I know he's somewhere. I want to send my shout-ups to Bibi and to my baby.
Hey!
Rukundo, Bibi, and baby. Anyway. Well, when you're the future, you get to send shout-outs. When you're not, you don't. All right. God bless you so much. Thanks for joining us. See you next Sunday.